Hey guys, what's going on? We are back with another Enhancement Shaman Mythic Plus video, and we are doing a 14 Eco Dome Aldani. And now this one actually went very well. I was surprised and honestly shocked that how much damage I did as well. And if you didn't know, Enhancement did not receive any nerfs. That is important. You gotta remember, very important. Because, yeah, we've been doing some insane stuff lately. We really have. We've been too strong. I agree. I agree. I know all you guys are agreeing with me too that Enhance has just been a little tad too strong lately. So, but I am glad to see they aren't bothering to change anything because, yeah, we would definitely be way too strong if they buffed us because I don't think we need that really. Um, but yeah, yeah, we see no changes. BM Hunter's getting a buff though, so that's good to see. It's nice to see a spec that is I don't know. Anyways. Anyways, on that note, Enhance is not receiving any changes. The important part is especially the fact that we are not receiving any nerfs. I mean, considering the fact we're at the bottom of the list, you can't really go any lower even if they nerf us, so it can't be that bad, right? But looking at overall data for rating, and I took a look at all level of parses from 10th percentile to 99th percentile. In the lower percentiles, we are actually quite high on the damage, and it gradually goes down as you get higher. Now, that doesn't say that we're in like, I don't know, a good spot, but it does say that Enhancement Shaman does seem to have um a more consistent parse rate, I guess, or damage rate. We do have one of the smallest variations for our damage. Looking at it now, we do have, I believe, one of the smaller end of the play rates. For example, like I do believe we are on the lower end of how many people actually play Enhancement Shaman. So that could be one reason is why the community is so small. Most of the enhancement community might understand how enhancement works, and you're not really getting that much of a variation. The same goes for Unholy DK, although they're more closer to the top, I believe. I'm not really sure. I didn't really look at it. But if you take a look at a spec like maybe Subtlety, where their variation is almost like 3 times the size of ours. Like it's ridiculous. So I don't know if maybe Blizzard's going off of those type of numbers. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but we might see something. Now, my speculation for why they didn't is probably because they have big changes for Midnight. And I know Totemic has not seen any play rate much this season because it's just fundamentally weaker right now. Like the true numbers, no matter what you do, you cannot beat somebody with Stormbringer that is playing at the same level as you are and doing like maybe they have the same gear and same experience on enhancement as you do. If you were to battle them in damage, the Stormbringer player would win. Hands down. It's much simpler and it just does more damage. Like there's no way around that. Like it just straight up does more damage. Now, my speculation why they haven't even bothered trying buffing Totemic is probably one that not many people are playing it right now, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but it might be true. The second one is I believe coming into Midnight, they did specify that they're looking at approachability for specializations. Now, if you look at the approachability of Totemic Enhancement Shaman, I think everybody can agree that a new player would look at that and go, "Yeah, screw that." They would not bother trying to play it, right? Maybe they would, but I think everyone can agree. Majority of maybe like 7 out of 10 players would probably agree. Okay, I'm just going to play Stormbringer instead of Totemic. That are just starting out to play enhancement, which I don't think anybody would blame them, right? The excessive amount of requirement for the opener and stuff like that for Totemic, the knowledge and everything, is just much more than you need for Stormbringer. Now, the second reason, or I don't know what I said, but anyways, so coming in midnight, they're looking at the approachability. So I do believe they are looking to change the way Totemic works, possibly, making it a bit easier, maybe more on par with how Stormbringer is playing, not necessarily in terms of proper style, but like approachability, where it's simplified significantly. Um, it's just a possibility. Now, I don't think the play styles will be the same. I think it would still be, all about lava lash and stuff like that, but they would reduce the complications between everything that Totemic has. And the second reason, and this one is a bit more of a stretch, but damn near a possibility, we could be looking at a fourth specialization for Shaman, which could be Shaman tanks, and they might remove Totemic from Enhancement. Now, they could also remove Stormbringer, it's hard to say. But now, all this is based on the fact that in Warlords, and I specifically remember this from Warlords to Draenor, at the end of the patch going to Legion, they gutted Survival and Demonology Warlocks so much that they were almost 10 to 15% behind the last specialization in the game for damage output. Um, so the reason why they did that is because they didn't want people playing it, because they wanted to do a modification to the entire spec, giving it a full-on rework. So that's my speculation right now, is they have some big changes for Enhancement Shaman coming into midnight. And the other, and now you could say, well, didn't they just rework Totemic in 1105? And you would be right, they did. But it's clearly been a struggle because they've constantly had to keep going back to it and modifying it and modifying it and modifying it. And it's just they just can't seem to figure it out, I guess. And so in 11.0.5, they did a huge change which caused Storm Totemic to take the reins of the of both Raid and Mythic Plus, giving you massive windows of Sunder Smashes with Ascendance, giving you big Surging Totem windows. And then it got modified into the Lava Lash spam you see now, or you saw in Liberation of Undermine, which had a better feel to it, but still a difficulty to it. But at the same time, Stormbringer honestly wasn't that far behind, but then they buffed Stormbringer, right? It didn't take long until Stormbringer got buffed. So I think it has to do with maybe some complaints about Totemic being too difficult, and they want to make a change, which I completely agree. They should modify it to be much more approachable for newer players, and even just in general. I think most players that play Totemic do like the difficulty, but at the same time, I feel like everybody can agree there's too much going on, and it just needs to be simplified to an extent of where you still need, the experience of an Enhancement Shaman, but you don't have to do like all this extra pain in the butts, like the Totemic recall and stuff like that, resetting your totem, placing your totem, making sure all your whirling elements, lava lash. It's a lot. And then there's also the fact that a lot of our abilities have damage modifiers. For instance, if you take a look at Lava Lash, you got Molten Assault, you got Ashen Catalyst, you got Hot Hands, you got the Totemic talents, which gives you Searing Totem and Searing Volley, as well as Sunder. It's there's a lot. Same goes for Storm Strike even as well. So, but at the same time, they have nerfed us specifically for a tier set, and that was back in Narrowbar Palace. If you remember, our very first tier set was you get an extra Feral Spirit when you use Feral Spirits, obviously. And then in 11.0.5, they introduced the new talent Flowing Spirit, which allows Feral Spirits to proc on its own, and you don't have to use it as a ability. Now, come that they made a change to both Witch Doctor's Ancestry and Flowing Spirits, nerfing them a lot. So instead of being 2 seconds off per Maelstrom generated, it is now 1 second off per maelstrom generated. So that was a 50% nerf to Witch Doctor's Ancestry. And then also, I do believe the original proc rate of Flowing Spirits was 8%. Now I think it's down at 6. I haven't looked at it in a while to actually see, but I think it's somewhere around there. So it's definitely received nerfs, but I think the bigger one is Elemental Spirits. So that used to give you 20% elemental damage. Now, whether that's frost, fire, or nature is the question. But what happened when 11.0.5 came in, I do believe it was that change, it went down to 10% elemental plus 10% physical. So I believe that that should get buffed to 15% and 15%. And the reason being is because right now, regular Feral Spirits gives you 15% physical damage. So you're literally just taking a nerf to physical damage just to get a little bit of elemental RNG damage, which I think is a bit absurd. A bit absurd. And then you also have Alpha Wolf, which still has yet to see any play rate in the War Within, which is quite unfortunate because I think it would really be good. So I do believe they should just make that rather than a choice node, it should be a multi node where you can have both of them. Like they just split it. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, that's what's going on right now. That's my thoughts behind it. We could see some last minute changes. Who knows? But right now, I have a hard time believing that Blizzard will give us a buff, mainly due to how much RNG is involved right now with enhancement. I mean, if you look at it, deeply rooted elements and flowing spirit seems to be giving a positive increase to damage when going into the long fights, such as like 5 minutes. If you check the sims and stuff like that, if you go specifically off sims, um, but if you can determine how long the fight is going to go, so if you can get a fight to go 2.5 minutes or 4.5 minutes, then you're looking at more of an ascendance window, which is better. But if you're going for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, any odd set of minutes, then I do believe deeply rooted elements will be better. But if you're going for like a 1 minute fight, it's more than likely ascendance is going to be better, or a 2 minute fight, because you don't want to end on that cooldown. But yeah, it's always been a struggle of enhance. I think if you've been playing enhance for a long time, you already know that it's always going to be up and down. There's no real way of us getting away with being too strong. If we are at the top, we're usually hit with some sort of nerf, like we saw in Dragonflight for Amir Drasil. We were supposed to be one of the top DPSs, but then we got hit with a nerf, like a aura nerf, like a 5% or something, and we kind of lost that. But, you know, Blizzard has a plan. As for what that plan is, we won't find out until they decide to tell us. I mean, let's be honest, they've never really knew what to do with enhancement in the first place, so it's very hard to say what that plan is. I am really crossing my fingers that we are getting a tank specialization, which would also give us an extra hero talent. Whether that's going to be anything, I have no idea. I have no idea what that would be, but I'd be really excited. Or they just plan on redoing Totemic as entirely, making it a bit easier to play with. But yeah, I would just, if you guys enjoy enhancement though, keep playing it. Honestly, keep playing it. I was playing elemental on my alt, and it was kind of fun, but after a while I started realizing I'm not enjoying it. So I went back enhancement and I was like, this is so much more fun. I don't know. Now I know a lot of people don't really like how easy Stormbringer is. It's very boring, and I get that. I get it. I mean, the reason why I love it right now is because of how much time we spend in Ascendance. I mean, I just love Ascendance as a cooldown. It's just so cool. So I really do hope to see some possible changes to that, making it a bit more accessible, like giving us both Ascendance and deeply rooted elements. But it's very, very tough to say considering how much power is behind Ascendance right now as well. Outside of Ascendance, we're kind of useless. Well, I'm not gonna lie. We don't do much outside of Ascendance or Tempest windows. But inside of Ascendance, we're a monster. We really are. Now we're not near like some classes like Hunter or anything like that when they're popping cooldowns, but like we don't really have cooldowns anymore. Especially if you run deeply rooted elements, all you're doing is 1 minute windows with Doom Winds and Primordial Storm. But overall, I think we have a decent balance between AoE and single target. Like compared to other classes where they have to choose between single target or AoE, it's honestly, I'd say Enhance has definitely gotten that part correct where we don't have to choose a whole lot different for Mythic Plus versus single target. So it's nice to see that. So we definitely get a bonus for Mythic Plus when fighting bosses more often. And we still don't, we're not that far off in mass AoE either, although we do take a hit. Primordial Storm really makes up for that in quite a lot of ways. So it's really tough to say. Now, if they were to buff us, I would like to see them buff our Storm Strike a little bit more, maybe. For Totemic specifically, it would definitely be Lava Lash, giving it a bit of a juice up, you know. Maybe buff Tempest Strikes as well. That could be useful. Get Elemental Blast out of the way. I use it in Raid, I know, but I truly don't like Elemental Blast as an ability for enhancement. I think it's kind of weird. I do like Tempest Strikes, but it's like at the same time, it just needs a different thing. Crash Lightning could definitely use some juice, mainly because our tier set from last season made it be a monster, like an absolute monster, and now it's kind of just there. It's just there to generate us some Maelstrom. It's not really there to do damage, so it's quite unfortunate. All of our damage in Stormbringer is Tempest, which kind of makes sense. I think everybody can agree it kind of does make sense. It is our hero talent, so sure, but like it's a little bit much. And like in AoE it goes even further, and it's like it could use some changes, but you know, I guess that we can't really complain too much. I don't know. I could complain all day, but it ain't gonna go nowhere. It's not like we're closing down our class Discord or anything, you know. Maybe they should do that. Don't do that. Don't be like Red Paladins. But anyways, yeah, like maybe see some buff to Wind Fury even, because it's been in a bit of a low end as of late. Now Doom Winds could also use a buff, not the damage rate, maybe even like the increase that Doom Winds gives us, but that makes us more reliant on cooldown. So I really would like to see a buff to Wind Fury. Maybe buff the base damage of Wind Fury and then nerf the damage bonus Doom Winds gives us to Wind Fury, or make Wind Fury do that much damage and then just remove the damage bonus Doom Winds gives us and just give us the proc rate increase. I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things. Um, Primordial Storm could also use a little bit of a buff, maybe. Because it's very reliant on just generating Maelstrom for Stormbringer at the moment. And for Totemic, it kind of does the same thing, honestly. It doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. It's just there to proc your imbuements and give you Maelstrom. Um, but yeah, I'd really like to see Crash Lightning get a buff. I think that would be very, very good. Wind Fury get a buff, maybe even Flame Tongue a little bit, because it's been a bit on the weak side. Not so much in Totemic though, but maybe it could still use buff. Again, Storm Strike and Lavash definitely use something. Ice Strike and Hailstorm can leave. I don't really like them, but we do need them for PvP, so I guess that's okay. Um, but outside of that, you know, Tempest Strikes. I mean, they really got to do something, because our talent tree is absolutely absurd. Right now, Maelstrom weapon goes from 0% damage increase to 250%, which is unreal. Absolutely unreal. I don't think that should be a thing, but it is currently. The same goes for Lavalash. The same goes for Stormstrike. It goes from 0 to 250%. It's just that amount of modifier should not be from your talents. It really shouldn't. A lot of that should be base, but it is. It currently is, and it's dumb. So I'm really hoping when they do release Alpha for Midnight that we might see some talent tree changes or something about that, because they did say they're looking at remodeling the talents reducing the amount of cooldowns we have, and stuff like that. Really pruning down how much we can do or necessarily how much we have to do type of thing. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, right now, Crash Lightning, maybe a little bit of Storm Strike, anything outside of Ascendance could use a buff. And for Totemic, honestly, just give it a 10% buff or something. Like, Jesus, buff the tier set for God's sake. Do something with it, because it's honestly just, it's sad how bad it is. Honestly, we used to have two hero talents, and now we have one and a 10% of one. Like, it's just sad. It really is sad. But yeah, that's my thoughts on everything right now. But again, guys, on the best note, we didn't get nerfed. I think everybody can agree that's a shock, because Blizzard hates us. I think everybody can agree Blizzard does not like enhancement shamans. I think that's easy to say. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't think they like us. Mainly because they don't know how our class works. I'm pretty sure that's on how it is. Because our tier set designer just absolutely breaks us, and then it gets nerfed by like 200% every season so far. Yeah. But anyways, guys, that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Laters!